Wait, let me make sure it's recording.
Action.
Welcome back!
I thought I was leaving. Welcome back. I'm Scarlett.
I'm Derek.
This is an episode of 2 books, 1 shelf. In this series, we will be each picking 2 books and pitching them one another, spoiler free. We're just going to give you a little synopsis, what the book is, what reader might be drawn to that kind of book. Hopefully the other person gives it a go.
We're going to give kind of some of the highlights, some of the lows of each of the books, and try to get people to check out some of our favorite books.
The first book is my pick. It is The Silent Patient by Alex Michelada. This book is also another popular book. You may have heard of it, you may not, but it's a thriller, psychological thriller, fiction situation, and we learn about the life of Alicia, who one day, this is not a spoiler, it's literally in it was in the synopsis, it's not a spoiler. Alicia comes home and shoots her husband 5 times in the face. Then she is silent, she never speaks again. So now Alicia is in a psychiatric ward, and the whole book revolves around why did she do it? She was living a happy life, she was successful, her husband was successful, they were in love. Why did she shoot him 5 times in the face and never say another word? And the whole time we're trying to find out why. So it does go back in time, so we hear her perspective. We learn a little bit about who she is, the people in her life, her husband, various other characters. We go to the present, and she's in the ward, and she's not speaking, but they have various people coming in to try to get her to talk, to try and understand why. So that's the pitch. And no.
He goes, I want to read it.
He's like,
that sounds really good. I'd like to.
I'm in.
I'll buy it.
The big thing with this is the ending. That's what I've seen a lot of people talking about, and I obviously agree.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, but everyone latches on because of the ending, and it is crazy. So it's crazy.
Can I ask any questions going through here?
Of course.
So this woman that killed her husband, is she the main character, or do we have a main character?
She's the main character, and there also are a couple other supporting names.
Okay,
but it's about her. It's her story. Ask another question.
Cut it out.
Cut it out.
Okay. So that's the synopsis for the book.
Yes.
So give us some
highs and lows
of the book. Yeah.
Yeah. So a high is how it comes together at the end. I think it's really fascinating, especially the psychological aspect of how both. My goodness, he's pushing me over. The psychological aspect of.
He really wants to read this book. He's so.
I'm so good at this job.
Yeah.
The psychological aspect is really fascinating. So I really liked that in the ending. The low is that it is a little bit slow in the beginning. It's hard to get into. But if you push through, it does read rather quickly. Like the chapters are pretty short. It's just kind of a lot of building up. So it's a little bit hard. It drags on a little bit. But once you get in it, then you're really curious what happened to Alicia and why these things are going on. It picks up because you really want to know. But yeah, the low is that it drags on a little bit, much like I am doing right now. That was The Silent Patient. Give it a go.
Okay, so who would kind of like a book like this?
Totally. So if you're into thriller, mystery, psychological stuff, done. That's what this is. You're set. I would say some similar books would be like a Verity,
Sure.
Colleen Hoover, or a Frida McFadden, Never Lie. You'll be into it.
Do you think there's anybody this book isn't for? Somebody who
No.
wouldn't enjoy this book? Everyone will love this book. Okay, great. I'm convinced.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. It's a little bit slow, but it's worth it in the end.
Okay, so it has more of like a build-up factor.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think there's a
Like
difference
this.
between like slow, like a boring book and like a slow burn,
Totally.
right?
In case you didn't know to build up.
Build-up
Was.
is like this. Yeah, it's not like this.
Nope. Next,
All
what do
right,
we have?
my turn. So my first book, what I would like to pitch is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This book, right now, is sitting at my favorite book of all time.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a high statement. I mean, I haven't read that many books, but I read enough, and I think this one is still holding up as one of the best. I do think that may be influenced by the time of my life when I read it and all of that, but I think that goes into it. Yeah. So what is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow about? You may ask. This book, it even says right on the back, this is not a romance, but it is about love, and I think that is a great way to describe it. I think this whole book encapsulates all the different ways that we can love in life, not just romantically, not just like family, but just loving friends or loving what you do, your passions, life. Yeah, it explores a lot of topics. And when somebody is to ask me, like, what is this book about? It's not really, like, there is no storyline. Like, the Silent Patient, it's like you want to find something out. It's like it's leading to this big climax.
Okay, so what is this book about?
Right, so this book is about, it just follows a guy named Sam and a girl named Sadie. And they meet when they're young in a hospital, and then they don't see each other, and then they're reconnected years later when they're both in college. And then it follows a story of them reconnecting and making a video game together. I know, gamer boy alert. Oh, I know, and I see where you're coming from. I know video games are for a niche crowd, but I truly think you could substitute any art form for video games, and this book would be exactly the same. I think they could be working on a painting together. They could be writing a book together.
Okay.
The video game is just creation. Exactly. This book just follows these two throughout their life as well, and like friends come in, people come and go throughout their lives. But it feels like you're just with these people. When I was reading this, it felt like a true story just being told, and like it wasn't like I was reading a book and like I didn't like that plot point. I'm like, no, this is real. These are real people. Totally. I know them, and I'm just following their life.
I feel the same about my next book.
Right? I think that would be a similar one to compare this to. There's tragedy in this. It pulls at the heartstrings. It is an emotional book. It's excellent. I cannot recommend it enough. So
highs and lows.
Highs and lows. Obviously, highs is the emotional, the ride you go on with these characters, and how much you get a sense of like you feeling like you know them and like they are real people. This story I think is just beautifully told. I love everything about the story. The lows is that I think some people could argue that it doesn't follow a traditional story arc. There's not a ton going on. You're just following these people's lives. People that wouldn't like this, I think, is people that just need constant action or like a fantasy world, something
like a traditional plot line.
Exactly, a traditional plot line, or just something spectacular or like fast paced. It's not fast-paced. I think it's living life. You are a character-first reader. This is the ultimate book for you. That's my pitch on Tomorrow.
Love. I'll add it to my TBR.
All right. Did my job.
Next is my second book, which is A Little Life. I believe it is pronounced Hanya Yanagihara. I could be saying that wrong. But I love this book. Okay, this book is so poignant, is so emotional. I have never had an experience with a book so deeply unsettling, yet hopeful, yet so confusing. It's like, all right. I'll give you a synopsis. So, this book follows the lives of 4 young people in New York. It is Malcolm, JB, Willem, and Jude. The hard thing with this is it reminds me of what you were saying. It's kind of a high and a low. I'm getting ahead of myself. But this book is so not a traditional plot line. It's very much following the life, a little life. And nothing is really happening. It's just telling the lives of these 4 young men and their struggles and what they've gone through in the past. It's a past and present book, so it's jumping all around their life because they're really coming of age together. Yeah, there's not too much to say about the synopsis because it's just lifestyle. It's just following their lives, and I know that can sound really boring.
I would imagine feel like you know these characters.
Absolutely.
And then once you know them, it's almost like you feel like it's maybe a sibling or like a friend, and you want to know about your friend or sibling's life.
Yeah.
So then it's like, I want to know more about their life, just in general, what happens to them.
Yeah, exactly. Her writing style is so exactly what you say. It really makes you feel like these are real people and you're following their lives and you're fascinated by what they're going through and everything. So as you're following, I'll go to highs and lows now. I would say a low for many is it's a pretty...
That's a chonker.
It's a thick one. It's a pretty long book, and it's pretty slow paced, but it's not boring. It's really hard to toe the line of that, I think, and I think she does an incredible job because it is, I totally agree, a lot of early build up. Like the first half of the book is really just, this is Jude, this is Willem, this is their life, this is how they grew up, this is what Malcolm does, this is what JB does. It's just all kind of building them up. And then you start to uncover these secrets of, you know, what's going on in the characters' pasts. So that could be a low for a lot of people, I think. And it is a low for me in many instances. But in this particular book, really makes you know the characters. So I think it's worth it. And I think it's like every chapter in the book is important, even though it doesn't maybe feel like it in the moment. The cover of this book is like exactly on point.
I mean, based on what people know about this book, everyone knows it's the most tragic book ever. Everyone knows it's devastating.
So if you are a person who needs a happy ending and needs a good light read, don't read this book.
Not for you.
No, don't skip it, okay? If you are someone who likes to follow character-driven stories of lives, you're gonna eat this up. I did. I just feel like I can't even say enough about it. I know I'm making it like, whoa. And it's like, relax. But no.
It's that good?
It's so good. It's just so...
Can I ask, like, when books are that thick, right? I think a lot of times I'm reading a book that thick, I'm like, okay, is it using every page? Does it need all 700, 800 of those pages?
It really does.
It does.
It does because it's... Like, maybe when you're reading it, you would think, oh, who cares about this one time? Like, it tells a story of, like, a seemingly tangential past thing. But even those little currents off of the main path are just enriching the character. So even though it's technically like, oh, you know, you probably didn't need that for the story, like, the whole book you don't need for a story. Because it's not
You don't need the whole book.
Yeah, no way. You just need nothing. Because there isn't really a plot line. So it's not necessarily that you're going off of the plot because there really isn't one. It's just like an aerial view of these people's lives.
But I'd imagine each one of those tangential moments gives you more insights into the characters so you know them better.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so it's like...
And if each one didn't happen, you wouldn't feel the way you do about each character towards the end.
Right.
That's how Tomorrow is.
I cannot recommend this book enough. It's so great. Great.
I've not read it. It's on the TBR.
Did I convince you?
I'm convinced. I already was convinced, but now I'm extra convinced. All right. On to the final book. Thank you for your 2 books on the one shelf.
Mm-hmm.
My second book is a little bit of a departure from our previous ones. We had thriller and 2 fiction. This is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a sci-fi, honestly a little bit of a thriller. The pacing of this one is just breakneck. It's one of the fastest paced books I've ever read. I think I read it, in a week. That's really fast for me. It's not a big book. It's maybe 300 pages. That's a great size book. I absolutely crushed this book. It's about this guy named Jason, and it's kind of just about, on the back again it says, "Are you happy with your life?" So what happens is, this is all in the very beginning of the book, and I think it's also on the back, so I'm not spoiling. But Jason lives in a world where he's married with a wife, and they have 1 son, and they are just living their life. He's a teacher at a school. He's not really happy with his career. He loves his family, but he's just kind of struggling, going through the motions, not super thrilled, and not appreciating kind of what he does have, but he's just kind of focusing on the negative, which I think a lot of us do. And one night he's kidnapped at gunpoint, and wakes up in a whole different life. His wife is no longer his wife, his son is no longer his son, and everything that he knows is different, and he's a well established in his career all of a sudden. So everything that he had wished for, he got, and everything he kind of neglected is now gone. So the story follows that, and him trying to figure out, oh wait, is this what I want? How do if I don't want this, how do I get back to what I had? And it plays into all of that. It's a classic. Be grateful for what you have and don't wish for anything differently. And it gets very sci-fi heavy. It sounds kind of just like, oh, what happened? But it's very sci-fi in the way that things are played out. It gets crazy. Like I was like, oh, that's as sci-fi as it's going to go. And then it would just continue. So the end of this book is just wild. And I think you need to be a sci-fi person to be into it, or at least be open to sci-fi. Like obviously this book could not happen in real life. Well, maybe. No, so I think no, it can't. The highs of this book, I think, is the pacing. I think the pacing's crazy fast. I think the story overall is just interesting and hasn't really, I've never seen it be done in this way before. I think the themes of the story are incredible. Some of the lows, the characters aren't great. I think you don't really get to know characters just because the story is so fast that you don't really have time to sit with any of the characters. So if you're a character first reader, maybe this isn't for you. This is more of just like, if you want a roller coaster of a time, read this book.
It's kind of like opposites, your two books.
Yeah, no, this is probably the exact opposite.
And also, this is a show.
This is a show. So Scarlett has seen the show and not read the book. The show is a little bit different for those that have seen the show or haven't seen any of it together. There's different perspectives in the show that you don't get in this one. I believe, I read this one a little bit ago, but I believe it's all in first person. So obviously that's not really what you get in a show. So there are different perspectives throughout the show, and it adds to it. Honestly, the show is just as good as the book.
I loved the show. And like Derek said, I haven't read the book, but it made me want to read the book, even though I watched the whole show, so I know how it ends. I still want to read the book because the book is always better than the movie or the show, right? So
this is one of the closest ones where I think they go neck and neck.
Wow. Okay.
All right. And those are our two books on our one show.
It's a hypothetical.
Yeah.
You understand.
Yeah, 2 books, 2 shows.
What's our one shelf? Welcome.
Welcome.
We're
going to check it back then. She checked out for my book review. All right, I'm back.
Thank you for watching 2 Books, 1 Shelf.
Yes.
And
we'll be back. We'll be back next time with 2 brand new books. Until then, thanks for watching. Please subscribe.
Nice.